Hello, and you are back in the Velvet Room with Jokerthefool. This is our sixth episode, and we will be discussing how the entertainment industry is in shambles, but you can still have fun. So the impetus for recording this one has been Starfield and the film industry. So Starfield came out officially a couple days ago. The gaming industry's got into this awful habit of fork over an extra 20-30 bucks for the premium edition. You can play a couple days early. I didn't do that. I got in on the regular edition of Starfield, and I played just a tiny first bit of it, so I can't say anything too definitive about it other than it feels too much like Fallout 4 and not enough like a next-gen RPG, in my opinion. So then that's going to be something I'm probably going to find consistently flaws the experience, too many loading screens, not a high enough frame rate, those sorts of things. But people are more concerned about bitching about the pronouns on one side or the other, and not about the technical. Is not the fact that the game isn't as technically advanced as I think it should be. It's not as well designed as an RPG should be. Of course, I've only played a very little bit of it. But the whole thing is, if you like to play games, there are plenty of other games that you can play other than Starfield. There's a burgeoning indie scene. You can always go onto eBay and get a Super Nintendo or an N64, an original PlayStation, and get tons and tons of old games and play that in those ways. So there are alternatives for basically every facet of entertainment except for the big corporate stuff. But we're going to talk about how all the big corporate stuff is basically not worth engaging with. You look at how they have to pay for reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. You look at the box office numbers for a lot of these films. They're in the gutter, and they have been for a while, and it's not because it's COVID. It's because people just do not want to engage with the film industry as it exists right now in terms of what's in the box office, because it's just fundamentally not good content, because it's based around generating a higher ESG score, not making a good movie. And that is the fundamental thing that's pervasive in the culture. For the big corporate stuff, is that it's about an agenda. It's not about, we have this genuine story we want to tell, and we'll tell it to the audience. The fact of the matter is that's been dead for a long time in the corporate media and corporate entertainment. But the independent circuit, whether it's comic books, whether it's video games, whether it's novel writing, or any of these things that people use to entertain themselves, there is an independent scene, and it's burgeoning, and it's only going to get bigger, and it's filled with creators who've been disaffected from the corporate space one way or another, the big legacy way, the way you're supposed to do things, because as I've said before, that system is just about checking boxes. It's about an agenda. I've talked about it on the Hump Day Potpourri, the other podcast show that I do, and I'm talking about it now, of course. But the those independents who just want to be creative, who just have stories to tell, they have the means to tell those stories directly to their audience now more than ever. I was able to self-publish my book, and thousands of other people, thousands of other authors have been able to do the same. They don't have to go and send their book to publisher after publisher and then get shafted by these big corporations that do not give a single solitary shit about their book. They just care about making money off of the book. The Penguin Random Houses of the world, the Bantam Dells of the world. These big companies that just want to use you until there's nothing left, and they don't care if they've got to censor a book to placate the mob. They don't care if they have to remove your book from the shelves to placate the mob. They're going to do it because it's about making money, and it's about seeming like they're on the right side of history at the end of the day. It's not, I have creative integrity, I have integrity as a person, and I'm going to stick to that. No. It's about making as much money as possible and being perceived as being socially acceptable. But as I've said before, this is just one of the reasons why the entertainment industry is in shambles, I would say, and it is because of how one, corporate everything's become, and two, when everything became so corporate, that set up the playing field for, I guess, the woke mind rot, as we've said it before, as I have, as Doc has, my co-host on Hump Day Potpourri, and a whole bunch of other people in the spaces that I find myself to be aligned with, like Eric July, like Nerdrotic, Geeks and Gamers, those sorts of people. Ryan Kennel, I watch his videos a lot. It's constantly about how Disney's screwing up, how all these companies, like DC with you see stuff like Blue Beetle, you see stuff like the Snow White movie that hasn't come out, but our Dial of Destiny, which has come out, and they aren't making money. They aren't good entertaining products. Are just made to make money and make it seem like these companies are more socially aware than they actually are, when they really aren't at all, in the sense that it's not like Disney's doing anything good for society meaningfully at this point. I mean, you can argue that they used to very meaningfully entertain with their movies and their parks, but they aren't really doing that anymore, because the movies are being made to satiate an agenda. The parks experience is just overpriced nonsense at this point. You're spending money just to wait in lines that are slightly shorter because the attendance is going down, but it's not a fun experience because it's so corporate. And that's one of the things that I think is really ruining entertainment, is how corporate and centralized a lot of this is. But the good thing is that we can decentralize, we can support alternatives, and you don't necessarily have to disengage with all of the big stuff. If you like to go to the Disney parks, that's fine. You can support independent creators, you can support independent filmmaking, you can support independent comic books and publishers, and all these sorts of things, while engaging with the Disneys and the Warner Brothers and the Discovery, those sorts of big name entertainment companies. It's the 51% rule, which Eric July has talked about, but I'm a big proponent of, where you want to get to the point where 51% of your entertainment budget is being spent on independent media from companies and people that don't explicitly hate you in your guts, really, because that is how it really feels if you go into the mind of these creatives, which you can do so now more than ever with Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You have all these celebrities and showrunners and producers talking about how they have an agenda, and you just have to sit back and take it. How it's their time to shine, and not the evil white men who are running the cis heteronormative patriarchy. And like I've said before on this cast, sorry about that. It really is about pushing an agenda, seeming like you're socially acceptable. It's about pushing a message onto people, and not saying, we have this story we need to tell, and we want to tell it as effectively as possible, whether that be in a film, in a TV show, in a book, in a comic. It's more about, we have to make sure that there's a gay character, there's a black character, there's a trans, otherkin, non-binary, queer character in our piece of media, and you have to know about it, and you have to be not only okay with it, you have to be shouting from the rooftops how progressive and amazing it is that all these things exist in the media right now, and people are frankly sick of it, and people are frankly, even if they aren't explicitly as sick of it as someone like Az from Heels versus Baby Faces with Starfield and the pronouns, people just do not want to engage with real world politics when they are going for escapism. They don't want to watch a movie about Snow White and have to deal with Rachel Zegler's nonsense. They don't want to play that cool space RPG and have to think about transgenderism. So people just want to be entertained by their entertainment. But that is a crime in today's society, where you have to be always aware, you have to be woke, you have to be awake, you have to be socially conscious, you have to be anti-racist, and that's every facet of your existence, and that includes entertainment, which is why entertainment is going the way that it is, because once it went fully corporate, it was able to go fully woke, and when you are woke, everything about you has to be woke, everything about you has to be and socially aware. So everything's sexist, everything's homophobic, everything's racist, and you have to point it all out. Anita Sarkeesian said that. She was a very big proponent of going against video games for not being politically correct enough, and that mindset is the mindset that drives a lot of the people who are ESG minded in entertainment, is that you have to come from the perspective that it's all bad and we're here to fix it, and fixing it is making this absolute nonsense that is just pushing an agenda. So it's like I'll say this before, it's in shambles entertainment because it's about pushing an agenda and not telling stories that are genuinely good. But I think we are getting to a point where the people who want to tell stories that are genuinely good are just going to do that, and they're going to do that independently and just serve it to the people who are willing to pay for those and use the internet as a means to facilitate that transaction. You're seeing this stuff with Sound of Freedom. You're seeing this stuff with the Rip Apart. You're seeing this with myself, where I can just write stories and write and publish through services like Lulu and Amazon independently, and I don't have to operate through a publisher. I can publish, whatever story I want. I didn't have to send Machine to Man, chilling myself here, my novel to any publisher. I just did all the work to self-publish the book, and it's a physical book that you can buy, and there's no corporate overhead. I don't have someone breathing down my neck saying, I didn't use the word birthing person in my book. I used the word mother, or I used the term breastfeeding instead of chest feeding, and that's not something I can use in current day. I don't care about that particular stuff. I had a story I want to tell. I have a lot of stories I want to tell. I'm just going to tell them to you. And sure, I might not have a huge marketing arm, but I do have the internet. I do have the ability to podcast like this, post a daily poll, use my Substack as a way to connect with people. And the more people I connect with, the more I can build out a publishing house entirely independently without the need for a big corporate backing. And that used to not be possible back when you had to pay to get on the radio, back when you had to mail out everything, back when you could only buy books from the bookstore. We are in a very different landscape for entertainment than we used to be, and a lot of people are still operating that old mindset where you need some sort of corporate backing in order to be perceived as legitimate. And I think that's going to carry on for a lot of people, but those are going to be the dinosaurs. Those are the ones who are still going to wait for like the Writers Guild of America or SAG-AFTRA to cut a deal and save them from AI, right? Because they think AI is going to completely eliminate them, and it really is, because they aren't going to be the ones who use it to meld with their workflows. Are just going to be against it and hate it and say it's going to ruin them, and then it's going to get to the point where AI is going to take over. But if you embrace AI, you accept that it's a tool that you can use to improve your workflow, and you do that, then you can do great things with AI, and you can make yourself extremely relevant to the future that is going to include AI, in my opinion. I could certainly be wrong on that, but I would say you want to be optimistic with entertainment. You see a lot of bad news in terms of how Disney's going, how DC is going, how basically any big corporate entertainment conglomeration is in shambles right now. And sure, it's sad to see stuff like Disney, stuff like Warner Brothers, stuff that we grew up with when we were all young kids not be in the position that it should be, but it's just laying the groundwork for a nice independent seen a parallel economy, if you will, to rise up and provide the entertainment services and media that is sorely lacking right now, and just going to happen more and more as these big corporate conglomerations continue to fumble in the name of proving how woke they are. And that's really what it is. It's about proving that you are on the right side of history, that you are down with the cause, and not about entertainment. And that is why entertainment is in shambles, and that's what this ramble was about. So hopefully you enjoyed that little stream of consciousness there. I'm always going to say I'm still getting used to solo podcasts, and I'll probably say that even after the 100th episode of this. But we're going to move on to the outro. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you for being in the Velvet Room with Joker the Fool. Be sure to follow my Substack, velvetroompublishing.substack.com, to read Machine to Man and all my other projects.